Welcome back to Straight Talk Africa, live from Washington. Once again, it's time to bring in my colleague and social media reporter, Mariama. Take it away again, Mariama.
Well, thanks, Shaka. As we've mentioned, the African Union wrapped up its summit in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, on Sunday. The theme of this year's gathering, human rights, was overshadowed by discussions on terrorism and the ongoing unrest in Burundi. Well, this leads us to our question of the week, asking, in addition to Burundi, what other issues or topics should the African Union be most concerned about? Before we begin, I'd like to thank all of you for using all our social media platforms to communicate to us. And another reminder that we are tweeting live today. Use the hashtag VOA African Union Summit. And if you haven't yet, please do follow us on Twitter. Speaking of it, let's go to a tweet from Izimzi, who writes that the AU should talk about how to end colonial borders to pacify insurgency. Another one from Sembatia, he also tweets this, that dictatorship in countries and protecting African constitutions, this is a vital point to be discussed. And while we're at it, let's take a look at another one, last one this time from Emmanuel Ebenezer, who says that the AU must be concerned with intra-Africa trade and sufficient power generation to light Africa as well as running machines. Well, let's now turn to our Facebook fans and go to a comment from David Tuwina Masco. I'm sure I said the name right. He's writing from Kampala in Uganda. And he says, besides the crisis in Burundi and South Sudan, the issue of poverty, famine, climate change, and good governance should be among the current concerns of our continent. Well, Shaka and guest, pertinent points made here by the various views. Your take.
Very interesting, Akuetteh, especially the gentleman who asked about the idea of eliminating these artificial colonial boundaries. You come from Ghana, and I have been to the border of Ghana and Togo, where in fact they give you a drink in the living room. You are in Ghana, and when you go for dinner, you are literally sitting in Togo.
That is so true. And I have to tell you, I mean, I think the way Africa's borders were drawn is a piece of history we should never forget. I mean, I have been telling friends of mine, I was talking to an Ivorian, and I said, you know, the border between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire was not drawn by Ghanaians or Ivorians. I was saying to a Burkinabe yesterday, it was not drawn in between Ghana and Burkina Faso by Ghanaians or Burkinabe. It was drawn by the British and the French and the Germans. And they did it for a specific purpose, to carve up Africa. Shaka, I know that you know quite a bit about Ghana and about Dr. Nkrumah. I can tell you, when I was a little boy in school, one of the first big words I learned was balkanization. Almost every week, Dr. Nkrumah will talk about balkanization. Africa was being chopped up into 54 countries, so they will keep us weak. So to come back to the point that our brother made, I think it is so true. We have to find effective ways to eliminate the borders and bring our peoples together, because these borders divide us up. And if we get free movement, can we move towards fewer, bigger countries? Just by that, we will have much more respect and much more power in the world. So I agree wholeheartedly. We have to find feasible ways of doing that.
Those borders reflect someone else's interests.
Yes.
Not the interests of the indigenous Africans. Mariama, do we have more reaction from the audience, please?
Yes, maybe we should have our own version of the Berlin conference, although I don't know what capital we're going to choose. I'll say Dakar, but I guess my friends from Ghana, Uganda, and Liberia, you guys will fight me for that. But let's move on to more comments. This time we'll go to a posting from Bamwe Sige Rugunda. He's actually writing from Germany, speaking of the Berlin conference. And he says that the AU should be concerned with building a strong regional policy for both socio-economic and political development, and setting regional strategies, goals, and priorities for integration. One more post from Raymond Kigongo. He says that if the African Union can compel African presidents to respect term limits, they will have solved many of Africa's problems. Trust me. Well, Shaka, should we trust this guy? Once again, Shaka and Guess, your take on these comments.
Very interesting. I think that we have a real doctor for that here, and she's called Emira Woods.
Regional integration is our only hope. Huh? As a Pan-Africanist, I think for many of us, we've known this for quite some time. I think the liberation leaders knew this as well. It is together that we're stronger. And so I think thinking about infrastructure, whether it's roads or telecommunications or, all of the infrastructure that's needed in our countries to be able to have people, as they have for decades, for centuries, go easily across borders, working together. I think this is our real test of an African Union. I mean, when you think about the African Union, remember it was the Sirte Declaration. It was put together in Libya, in Sirte, Libya, with a vision of a Pan-Africanist orientation that would bring regional integration economically, that would bring a common currency, that would bring a common trade union, and all of the issues around commerce together. So I think it is that vision that is yet to be realized, and it's that vision that we must continue to hold up. It is also a vision that many in civil society are fighting for. If you think about the environmental rights movement fighting in this UN conference in Paris, it was a group of Africans pushing African governments that actually got the UN to focus on this 1.5 degree, no more than a 1.5 degree increase in terms of global warming and climate change. It is civil society throughout the continent coming together, working together, strategizing together, that pushed the governments to collectively take a stance that actually could save the planet, at least could move us in a better direction. So I think it is thinking about these issues of regional integration, thinking about the fundamentals of Pan-Africanism in a way that helps us to concretely put in place not only policies, but infrastructure in a way that brings that integration. That will be our way of unleashing our full force, unleashing our fullest human creativity throughout the continent.
I hear you. Thanks, Mariama, for bringing us this week's audience reaction.
Well, thank you, Shaka, and thank you to our guest for weighing in and shedding a light into our audience's contributions. Well, that will do it for today's social media segment. Just a reminder that we appreciate all the feedback, whether it's in social media form or using other means to communicate to us. Please, please keep them coming. And if you are a new fan, just drop us a line at africatv@voanews.com. Once again, our email address is africatv@voanews.com, or post your comment on our Facebook page. Just enter the keywords Straight Talk Africa. Be sure to visit us online at voaafrica.com, or you can join our YouTube channel. Sign up to VOA TV to Africa and follow us on Twitter at VOA Shaka. A reminder that the show is streaming live every Wednesday. Go to the VOA Straight Talk Africa TV program page on our website, or simply watch us live on your mobile device. Just download the VOA mobile app.